Frankina from GAO. I understand that you also have to put together an implementation plan. How are you going to enforce these commitments?
Well, there's a active review underway of the entirety of TPP with our trading partners of the kind of changes in laws that may be necessary, how we work to provide capacity building for some of the TPP partners who need to better understand as they do their own review of legislation for compliance of how that will operate. Part of the opportunity around TPP is not just its passage, but then how that gets implemented and enforced. And as Dorothy and others in the room who have worked on many trade agreements understand, there is a huge opportunity that is provided under trade agreements between the time of passage and certification and compliance by our trading partners to ensure that the right rules and legislation gets into place. So we are working early to try to front load as much of this work as possible, recognizing that there will be opportunities, big opportunities that will accrue to the U.S. when TPP is approved and before countries are certified with their compliance. And then finally, we will have ultimately the enforceable obligations under TPP that gives us the kind of leverage to ensure that we have a free and open internet and the kind of principles around the digital economy where we do not have substantial leverage today, or our leverage we have is purely on a bilateral basis. And I will say, as a negotiator in the Asia Pacific region broadly, including some big countries who are not part of TPP, the single best thing that we have been given is the leverage of people understanding what's in TPP and what that means, even for economies who are not part of TPP. So when I talk with my counterparts in India, or when I talk with my counterparts in other countries who are not part of TPP, and we get to the digital economy, I pull out not just the US Digital 2000, but the Digital 2000 that represents 40% of the global economy. And I say this is not a bilateral view by the US, this is the comprehensive view around the architecture for establishing trade rules for the digital economy. And so we should never lose sight of the fact that while TPP has enormous value for both US economic growth, US jobs, and economic leadership, it provides, through things like the Digital 2000, a template that we can use with other countries, whether it is multilaterally like TISA or TTIP, or it is bilaterally in the bilateral trade relations we have. And so that's why I'm confident that we will, and certainly with the support and the voices of people in this room and others, talk about not only why it matters for your companies, but it matters for the people who are working to do their startups that are digitally intensive, and how the kind of applications and developments that may be coming from any of our TPP partners may indeed make our lives better. And so this, I think, is truly one of the real win-win opportunities, and it is not surprising that the U.S., with our history around digital trade and digital entrepreneurship, would want to be championing these provisions, not only in TPP, but every other foreign venue where we can find that.
So thank you very much, Robert.